Flosstube friends, welcome back to the channel. I know, where have I been, right? Even I'm beginning to wonder where I've been because I'm not even sure myself. This video is likely to be a bit of a hot mess because although I was trying so hard to be prepared, I haven't really prepared for this video. I knew I was going to do one. It was just, where could I squeeze it in? Because a lot has been going on. But before I do, a very warm welcome back to all my lovely returning subscribers. January got away from me, but hardly surprising. It's just, yeah, it's been chaos. But topics, I'm going to dive right in because I don't know how long I'm going to get to actually record this video before either the family wake up or my hubby comes in from work. So I'm just going to try and scramble through this and try and update you. And I will try better from now on. So topics to talk about this month for January and February. We've got Whips update for January and February. I have been away at a stitching retreat in Crewe in the last couple of weeks. I've also got some lovely random acts of kindness, which I wanted to share with you. The idea was to share one of them with you in January and another one with you this month, but they're all getting bundled together because, yeah, it's gonna be how we roll this time round. I've got a very small amount of haul. You know me, rather frugal when it comes to the haul. And then we've got some life update. And as part of that life update, Mum had a surgery just very recently. And was one of the reasons why, although I was thinking, oh, I'll get to the video, you know, end of January. And then, yeah, a whole lot of stuff just sort of happened. So I'm going to dive right in. Like I say, don't know how well this video is going to go. You're just going to have to take it as you find it. First things first, let's crack on with the whip update, because I think the last video that I shared with you was what my plans were for 2025. And I have to say, I'm feeling quite smugly happy that it seems to be following in the footsteps that I anticipated. So first up, we have Winter White Santa. This is what it will look like if I ever get the thing finished, because you just got to love something to be finished. Although you'll all know that I did finish my evening in the park. So I'm feeling a little smug about that. Now I just need to start getting some finishes on the good old whips. So Winter White Santa is stitched on a 25 count Lugana in the colourway Tempest by Chromatic Alchemy. Chromatic Alchemy, unfortunately, is no longer. Unfortunately, she had to shut down. So you won't be able to get this fabric anywhere else now. Let's show you where we've got to. So here he is in all his glory. He got seriously neglected, didn't he? He did. But he hasn't been neglected now. Would you look at that? We've got a whole section of Winter White Santa, finally. So, details. This got 9 days worth of stitching in January and it got 1 day in February. So that's a total of 10 days worth of stitching. So I finished this little section down here. I think we had a little bit of this shoulder. So I've basically done all of this and I've just started working on his little sash. He's got like this little, oh, if I can get the bit of paper. He's got a little sash that goes up there. Let me show you. So we're just working on this little section here. And then we can start looking at below his sack. So at the moment, we can see that I've got just a few more stitches that need to go in here. I'm currently working in this section here as well as over here because the grey got a bit boring after I'd sort of done all of this grey. And I thought, I'll go and do some red. But really, I need to go back and finish his little hand there. She says, it does help if I move the needle minder out of the way. There we go. So that's his hand there holding the sack. So I've just got a bit more there to do, and this portion is done and we can move down. So like I say, I'm very, very happy that got a full 10 days worth of stitching in January. I was like, it's festive. It makes sense to do something Christmassy, given that I was still in the realms of Christmas. We let Christmas roll into January this time round. So Winter White Santa got some love. Now, because I got my finish on Evening in the Park, and I was like, do you know what? All the time that I was stitching on Evening in the Park, I was like, I've been having an itch to scratch when it comes to full coverage. And you know, when you feel like you're not really getting to the... I went for ages without even sharing any full coverage with you because there was nothing to share, because I wasn't actually stitching on it. I was stitching on everything but. And then all of a sudden, like, I just had this overwhelming urge that I really wanted to stitch on a full coverage. So, given that this is now going to be one of my focus on a finished pieces, I have been working on alternative reality. So alternative reality is stitched on a 25 count magic guide, full cross, and yeah, people, I'm smugly happy with myself. So I've changed how I'm stitching on this. I'm trying to do away with the park threads and see whether I can take out the park threads and stitch block by block and then just use the thread to finish it off until the thread runs out, and then go back and put some more in the block. It's working. I'm not sure the last time we saw this, and if I can get a side-by-side picture, I'll try to put one in. But I think the last time you saw it, I had to here done. So I've done all of this. This got a total of 10 days worth of stitching, and I stitched 2,185 stitches, which now makes this piece 29.76% complete. I know, it's not a lot. It's not a lot, but yeah. I mean, it does go right the way down to the bottom here, she says. So we've got more than it looks like. But the bit that I've actually been working on is this section up here, with the intention that I'm going to stitch in all of these park threads. And we're still going to work in the blocks, but I'm just going to stitch in the threads when I've got more thread. And we're going to see, I do seem to be stitching faster this way. So that is my lovely alternative reality. And like I say, this one, the plan is to use this as a focus on a finish. I mean, I really should. It's been in the making for so long that the grid lines have faded out so much I can barely see them. So it would be nice to crack on. But doing it this method, the one thing I have noticed is I do really need the grids. So I think I've got an answer to the grid situation, which I will share along the way on this video. So alternative reality did get a serious amount of love. I mean, 2,185 stitches in 10 days. I was like, wow, it can be done. See, Teresa, there is absolutely no excuse whatsoever. So because I got so into stitching on full coverage, I was like, rather liking that. So I decided that I needed a little more of that, please, or in the making. So the other project that I didn't have in my whip rotation of 2024 was Life is an Open Book. It's a story keep, and I can't remember for the life of me who the designer is. I'll put it here because my brain is not working as should. So Life is an Open Book. This is another Heaven and Earth design. It's a story keep, so it is a lot smaller. I did this as part of my full coverage series, I think. And this is where we've got to. Would you look at that? I'm so smugly impressed with myself, given that this one was just getting like, I don't know, 10 stitches here and there. And I've got all of this done. So where I can put in a picture of where you last saw it, I'll try and put that over here so that you can see. So Life is an Open Book. This is being stitched on a 25 count magic guide, full cross. This got 7 days worth of stitching, of which was 1,373 stitches. So that puts me at a completion of 19.39%. And it's really working. I'm loving the stitch the block, use the threads up, and then just carry on stitching the threads till it runs out. It's, at the moment, it seems to be really working for me. And it was so much easier on this one with the grid, I have to say. All the time that I had a grid to work from, there wasn't quite so many errors happening as there was in alternative reality. Hence the reason why I'm like, I really do need some grids. I need some grids for this. So yeah, I'm loving it. I've been really loving the full coverage, and what I've been doing is leaving them on the stand in the living room and just being like, well, I just do one strand then if I need to. I just do one strand a night. If that's the way that I need to go, then that's how we're going to rock along with this. So that was the full coverage stuff that I was scratching my itch, so to speak. Next we have, what else did we stitch on? Whilst I was away at my stitching retreat, I was thinking, what can I take with me that is an easy thing to stitch on when, you know, when you're trying very hard to socialize at the same time. And of course, the one that particularly stood out for that was my Afghan family farm. This one is being stitched on an 18 count fireside fabric, 4 strands over 2, and this was already a completed block, and I was sort of a portion of the way through this block. So this one got 2 days worth of stitching at the stitching retreat, and literally I've just gone in and sort of done this section down here. I've done some infill stitches up here. I mean, you'd think that I'd have this block done by now, but I haven't. But my priority has definitely been on my full coverages. But where I've got pictures of where you last saw this, hopefully I'll be putting those in for you to see. But yeah, it's coming along. It is one that I thought that I would stitch more on in the early part of the year. But I've been so into the full coverage that this one hasn't been out. This just came out because I was doing social stitching, let's say. So that is where Afghan got to. 2 days worth of stitching. I'm all right with that. The fact that my full coverages were my go-tos this month, or over the last 2 months, I'm more than happy with how we're doing. And it is so big. I mean, the fact that I have to have beach towel holders to clip it all together to keep it off me. Yeah, this is definitely going to be one that is not going to be done overnight, that's for sure. What else did we stitch on? So also, whilst I was away at the retreat, I decided, I was like, well, what else can I take with me? And you know, when you're sort of looking at your whips, you're looking at sort of the sorts of things that you can stitch on easily when you're with people. And I was like, one of the ones that I started at this same retreat last year was my soda stitch stitching gnomes. So I was like, well, since as I started this whilst I was there, it makes sense to take it back with me and do a little bit more on it. And my intention was to get a lot more done on it, and I have to say it didn't go quite as according to plan, because I did stitch on it but not very much. So soda stitch stitching gnomes, it got 3 days worth of stitching. I did do a bit of chain stitching on this one, and literally all I've done is this little section down here. That's it. That's all I've done. So I'm on the final gnome. It got 3 days worth of stitching. All of this stitching was done in February. I need to get the gnome stitched, and then the cotton ball I'm going to try and do in French knots. That's, well, at least that's the plan. But yeah, you know, when you just like, it really does need to hurry along now, because it's just one gnome. One more gnome to go, and then it's a done deal, people. So I'm like, yeah. So I have been very productive with the stitching. On the stitching side, I have. It's one of those things where you're just sort of sitting there thinking, well, you know, unlike normally I do a few stitches here and a few stitches there, and then that's sort of about it. But this last 2 months, although there's not lots of different projects I've worked on, I feel like I've made good progress on the projects that I have worked on. So that is it for the whips, as far as what I needed or wanted to work on that was currently in the new rotation for 2025. But I know I said I wasn't going to have any new starts apart from smalls. I did say that, didn't I? I did say I was allowed new starts. They just needed to be small. So I did say back at the end of last year that I wanted to try where I could to have some small starts, and those small starts would need to be more things like ornaments and things for me. So I thought, well, you know, there's no time like the present, she said in December, to stitch myself an ornament. Now, it hasn't made it onto anything. So I haven't managed to get it up for Christmas of this year, but it will be going up for Christmas next year. And this is the one that I went with. It is a mill hill called Mary, and I pretty much we're nearly done. So I've just got what have we got? I've just got some beads to put along here and up here, and then this one is done, and it's got its little gloves, it's got some bells, everything else is done on it, and then I can convert that into a little ornament ready for Christmas next year. So it's almost a finish, just not quite, she says. So this one got 11 days worth of stitching. So yeah, we got 11 days of stitching on this one. So since as I sort of got this far on this one, and I was like, it was getting a bit tricky to do the beading on the train, because again, I did bead on the train, people. Admittedly, there was not much flicking of beads. I done quite well not to flick people with the beads this time round. I must be getting better at it. I must be getting better at it. Well, since as I was like on a roll, and I needed something small because my mum was going into hospital I mean, it was, you know, when you just like, well, mum's going into hospital, I need another small something to tinker with if I'm going to need to be out of the house or down at mum's with her. So I was like, I need something small. I don't want anything too big. And I was like, do you know what? I keep saying about these little finishes that I want for me. And I'm like, now is the time to pick that up and run with it. So that's exactly what I did. So I went with this one. Again, it's a Mill Hill and it's a spring bouquet. Look at him. Is he not cute? Bye bye birdie. Now, I didn't get very far, she says. Famous last words. This is my grand sum total, which basically is the branch along the bottom. So that one is complete. As you can see, I don't know why the camera keeps doing that. It keeps zooming in and out. So we've done this bit here along the bottom, and now I just need to stitch the little birdie. And you never know. I may, people, she says, may just manage to get this one done in time for spring. That'd be nice, wouldn't it? To actually have something hanging. And what I've done is I've actually kept, oh, where is it? My tree there. You can still see it's got Father Christmas on it because they're the only ornaments that I've got at the moment. So the plan is to leave the tree out all year round. My idea is that I will hang things from the tree that are seasonally related. I'm thinking if I leave the little white tree out on the side, I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it just there? If I leave that out on the side, I'm actually likely to be more inclined to make stuff to go on it. That's my logic here. I'm sticking to it. So Bye Bye Birdie has had a grand sum total of 2 days worth of stitching. Yeah, not a lot. Not a lot, but it was another little start, and I am loving these little. So Susie, my friend Susie is the one that makes these little project bags. These are absolutely the perfect size for my little ornaments. I love them, and they fit fabulously in the handbag without having to have like a whole sort of folder type thing, which I've got with the other ones, which is fine. But especially when I'm traveling or I've got my laptop in the bag or I need to take more stuff to work, these are so much easier because you can just whop them in your backpack, and they're super easy and small. So love. So that is it for the new starts. Whipgo, I decided back at the end of last year that I was gonna do Whipgo again for this year. I've started it. So the 11th and the 20th were the numbers that were called for January, and 7 and 8 were for February. I done 4 days on a fancy that I completed in January, so I completed that, and 2 days on a fancy completed for February, so I've got a little tick for that one. And then it was 4 days on a full coverage, which I completed in January, and 4 days, would you believe it, on a full coverage for February, and of which I blasted those. So Whipgo is flying, people, and I do rather like the Whipgo, I have to say. And for the first time ever, although I use the stitching tracker to track the days of stitching, I've made the executive decision, the Teresa executive decision, that whenever I'm stitching on my full coverages, I'm going to use the stitch counting version so that I can count my stitches on my full coverage. I'm not going to do that on other things because I can never work out what I've actually stitched. Whereas full coverage, because I digitally mark off, I've sort of veered back to Pattern Keeper, I'll be honest. So because I'm using Pattern Keeper, it easily tells me how many stitches I've done a day. I put it in my handy dandy tracker, and that's how I know how many stitches I've actually stitched on. And I must admit, when you see you get like 500 stitches, I'm like, oh, I done 500 stitches in only like one evening or a couple of evenings. I'm like, if I just do a couple more evenings, I might get another 500. That's 1,000 stitches in less than a month. It has really helped. It has really helped me stay on track. So yeah, loving the fact that I've now, I'm basically counting the stitches on one tracker, but also counting my stitch days for all of my projects. So just the full coverage is where I've got the amounts that I'm stitching because it's digitally being tracked, go into the counting of stitches, but counting the number of days I'm doing from my count the days, because I like to know how many days. But the full coverage, I'm actually, it's really helping to see the number of stitches. So yay. So that is it really for the stitching. So I don't think I've done too badly, considering that things have been a little chaotic here. I think I've done quite well to actually get as much stitching done as I actually did. So on the haul side of things, like I said, I've been typically Teresa and very frugal on the haul. So on the haul we have, I'm part of the Fabric of the Month Club for the Loft Yarns. I'm just going to call it Loft Yarns because I can't remember. I don't know what's going on with my brain today. It just isn't working. So what do we have? So January's Fabric of the Month is this particularly gorgeous. Now it's more of a pinky natural. I don't know how that's showing up, whether it's true to life. I think it looks slightly more pinky on the camera, but this is my 28 count fat quarter for January, and it's the January 2025 club color. And February's one turned up, and of course it is a lovely blue color because it's cold, very cold outside. So here is my February color. I'm loving the neutrals. They're not too overwhelming with colors. If you're someone that loves like really deep colors and bright colors and lots of mottled and that sort of thing, then this brand I'm not sure would cover that for you, but they do some lovely more earthy tones, neutral tones, muted tones and pastels. So love, love, love. Also, a little bit more haul, not massive amounts. Whilst I was at my stitching retreat, Sam, who used to run Chromatic Alchemy, was there, and she was selling off some of the fabrics. So, of course, it would be rude not to, people. I have got myself here some opalescent cashel linen, 25 count, and you can see it's a whopping size. It's 40 by 56, 40 by 54 inches, and I only paid £38 for it. But it's got a lovely, lovely, decent amount of sparkling, although I'm not sure that you can see the sparkle. So I bought myself some of that. Ignore the crinkling. Sorry for the crinkles. And then also there was this gorgeous piece. I think it's exactly the same. I think it's a 28 count opalescent, and it's more like a taupe colour with like a gold fleck in it. But again, this is the sort of fabric that I could do smalls on, or I can do Christmas stuffs on. I rather like that. So I bought myself some of that, and that was like I think I got a meter of this. So love, love, love. Love, love, love. Do you know what? I've got more fabric than I have anything else, I think. Although, the more I look at sort of my stash of charts, I've actually got a lot more than I realised I have. I mean, one of these days I really should do an update on what is in the waiting in the wings to ever be stitched, if I ever get round to it. But I just haven't got there yet. So random acts of kindness. I got gifts for Christmas, which the plan was to show you in January. Unfortunately, that didn't happen because I didn't manage to get a video done in January. I know, terrible. So I had a lady that was lovely and reached out to me by the name of Chrissy. I think I'd said something like I wanted, that was it. So for my Welcome to the North Pole, I said on one of my videos that I really would like, or should get, a Christmas grime guard, because I had this Christmassy piece. I was on the train with it, and I kept looking at the grime guard, and I'm like, it doesn't even go with the project because it's not Christmassy. And she was like, Teresa, I can make you one. She said, if you can give me, like, you know, what size you want, I can make you one. Love her. She did more than make me one. So first things first, I have to share this beautiful card she made me for Christmas. Would you look at that? That is all threads. It's a bit hard to show you because it's like in a metallic thread. That is all threads where you punch through the card, and then all of this is done in metallic thread with beads as well. How gorgeous is that? It's such a pretty card. And Chrissy, you are so naughty, because we said a grime guard. Instead of just a grime guard, I got like a whole package. So I've got a lovely project bag with a little gingerbread man, a vinyl front, and then inside there we have the grime guard in question, which I have been waiting patiently to get on my Welcome to the North Pole, but I needed to show you all first before I could actually put it on the project. So for 2 months it's not been on the project, and now it can. So beautiful grime guard, a beautiful project bag, but also look at this. Look how cute this is. It's like a little needle book. Couple of bits of felt for my needles in there. It's lovely. And I think also there was a gingerbread, I don't know if it was like a scissor fob type thing. It's on a pair of my scissors that I've put somewhere, and for the life of me I can't tell you where they are, so I can't show you that. But that was gorgeous. It was like a little handmade gingerbread. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Chrissy, thank you so much. That was so kind of you, and more than was agreed. But yeah, I love the fact that I have a whole matching set now. There's no excuse, is there? What else have I got? So also a very lovely gift. When I was at the retreat, When I say it's a retreat, it was like the original. So my first ever retreat I went to, there was a group of us that all really got on so well. And every year since my first ever retreat, we've all met up in February. I think it's been pretty much in February every year. And it's the same it's the same group. It's much smaller than a normal retreat. It's normally about, I think, 16 of us, 16 or 20. Very small group. Every year we all meet up, and it's just a very relaxing time. And Mags, who was there last year, shared that she'd done some stitching, and she'd stitched like an ornament. And we was like, and she said, well, you know, I was just stitching it for my friend. And I was like, oh, so we're not your friends. Well, we made a big deal about it. And of course, Mags being Mags was just like, well, if you're going to make a big deal about it. She was like, fine, okay. So she said she was going to stitch us the same moose, because we all absolutely fell in love with this moose. But I'm not sure that we actually thought that she would do it. Well, she did, but she didn't just stitch one or two. She stitched like loads of them for all the people that said they wanted them. So the lovely Mags stitched up a load of these moose for us to have. So she did more than one. She did quite a few. So for those of us that were moaning and complaining last year that, oh, I see, so you can stitch for your friends, but we're not your friends, not good enough to be stitched for. She stitched a load of them. So Mags, thank you so much for my Christmas. So beautiful, beautifully finished. Would you look at that? But Mags is, yeah, there's more about Mags in a minute, because she's a naughty little chicken, is our Mags. So that was a very lovely gift. And of course, finally, I have something else to go on my little tree at Christmas. I'm like, I'm gonna have a full tree of Christmas stuff the way I'm going, aren't I? Also, whilst I was at the retreat, I was talking about, you know, I was saying about on alternative reality, the fact that the lines and the grid lines have faded out was making the whole stitching in a block and then just running the thread until it ran out a lot more tricky, and there was a few errors that happened. Well, the lovely Miss Mary Perkins, whilst we was there, as part of some of the bits and pieces that Sam brought to sort of sell off, there was one of these, and Mary was like, oh, this will be, you know, this will fix the problem. So this is a Bowen patchwork and quilt pencil or fabric marker. And she said, just draw a few grids on so that you haven't got too many. She said, and it will wash out perfectly. So Mary, thank you so much for this. I'm definitely going to give this a go, because I think this will make alternative reality so much easier with one of these. I've never used one before, so it's a bit trial and error. We're going to see how we get on. If any of you have got working experience of using one of these, then of course I'm very keen to hear your thoughts. I know that people use friction pens. The only problem is I've heard some horror stories with the friction pens, i.e. they've used friction pens, and then when they've washed it or they've put heat on it, it makes the lines disappear. But then I think when it's gone cold again or it's got hot again, the lines have started to come back. And I'm like, oh no, I wouldn't want that. Not on one of my full coverages. Certainly not on alternative reality after the number of years that thing has been in the making. So the fact that this, I believe, is something that you can mark it, you wash it, and it just disappears. It washes out. I think that's what I want to go with for sure. What else to tell you? So whilst we was at the crew retreat, I did take some video of the finishing table. There was some spectacular finishes on there, and especially a secret stitch and finish from Mags on a chatelaine. Now, it's a bit of a joke, because every single time we was talking to Mags when we was there, when any of us worked on chatelaines, we're like, oh, come on, Mags, you know, with the amount of stitching you do, you should at least do one chatelaine. She was like, nah. Well, without any of us knowing, I mean, I'm sure there was one or two that must have been in the know, and you obviously know who you are, Mags decided that she was going to secretly stitch a chatelaine because we all kept badgering her about that she should. She did, but she didn't just do a small one. She done a huge one and had it framed and done like a big reveal at the retreat. And I have to say, it blew everybody away. It was outstanding, absolutely outstanding. So on that video, there's a bit of footage of various different finishes on the table, but then the chatelaine at the end is Mag's beastie. Now I'm trying to remember for the life of me what chatelaine it was. My brain is like a goldfish right now, so I can't recollect, but I'll put it here because I'll be able to find out what one it is. In that video, at the end of this video, there will just be some video of the finishing table where you'll be able to see this beautiful chatelaine along with all the other beautiful finishes that were laid out on display at the retreat. But I had an absolute blast. It gave me an opportunity to pop in and see my dad because my dad lives up that way. So I saw my dad, hung out with Mary and the ladies. We had a couple of bar evenings. Gina was there, Ellie Welly Stitcher was there. It was just really, really nice to just have a few days away, especially ahead of the fact that I knew that my mum was going in for surgery on the Wednesday. So literally I came back on the Sunday and mum was going in for surgery on the Wednesday. So it was actually quite nice to have a nice relaxing weekend ahead of what was to come. So like I say, at the end of this video, I will put the video of the retreat in there. Life update. So as said, mum had a surgery on Wednesday of this week just gone. It was not a particularly pleasant one, and the recovery is it's going to be a hard recovery for her. I'm doing my best, she says. I'm doing my best to keep her fed, watered and comfortable. I just hope I'm doing enough. They reckon that I think the first 2 weeks are quite critical, that she doesn't do anything. She's not allowed to lift anything. She's not allowed to pick anything up other than a cup of tea. And I think the recovery time is about 6 weeks. So we've got 6 weeks. But I keep saying to her, look at the end goal here, Mum. I was like, in 6 weeks' time, by then, hopefully the weather will turn. We'll be more into the spring weather. I said, and you will be well enough to be out in the garden tinkering and titivating in relative comfort and comfortability. So yeah, so it's not a walk in the park. I mean, half the reason I think that this video took so long to do was once I knew that mum was having the surgery, it was like, well, if I'm going away to the retreat and then obviously I've got mum going in for surgery, how on earth am I going to get time to do the video and look after mum and prepare myself and be, because I've basically needed to sort of, if you like, clear the decks for me for 2 weeks because it wasn't sure how much help mum was going to need. My work have been extremely understanding about it and have said that because my mum sort of needs me, not hand holding, I don't need to live down there with her, but I do need to do all of her meals, make sure she's had her meds, make sure that she's got everything she needs, give her someone to talk to, you know, help her shifty herself around and, you know, various other bits and pieces to make it so much easier and so that I can keep an eye on her. They've let me work from home for 2 weeks. So thankfully, at least I'm on the doorstep and I can keep popping down there and doing the tea and making the lunch and doing the dinners, because that just wouldn't be feasible if I was in the city. So yeah, so I sort of cleared the decks for the 2 weeks because I knew it wasn't necessarily going to be that she could just be left down there to her own devices and I just pop down and make sure she's okay and maybe go and get some medication. And I was right to think that because, yeah, she needs a little bit more assistance this time round. So I've had 2 weeks. Well, I say that Wednesday she had the surgery. So I've got 2 weeks of working from home and trying to do mum stuff. But obviously the thought that I was going to get to this video was like, I don't see how it's going to happen. Thankfully, the one thing my mum is very good at is being a particularly good patient. And when you tell her to stay in bed and don't move, she's being very good. And she likes to have a little sleep. Today is a perfect day for this video because there's lots of football on the telly. So the ladies league football is on, and Mum loves watching that. So she can be left to her own devices for an hour or two whilst I'm down here doing this. So it's working perfectly. So with Mum all tucked up and obviously me having to sort of allocate a 2-week window, there was also, me and hubby had already decided we was going to go away on a holiday. And it was like, should we book something? Shouldn't we book something? You know, it's like, is now really the right time to be booking a holiday with Mum going in for surgery? And I was like, do you know what? If we don't book something, we won't go. Because either I can go and he can't go, or he can go and I can't go, or we've got other various things that are going on where it's just not possible. So in the end, I was like, do you know what? We're just going to throw caution to the wind and we're going to book something. And I was like, I'll get Mum outside of the first 2-week window, which was the critical bit where she needed me to be on tap. And I was like, the 3rd week, we're going to sort of see how she transitions to sort of being a little bit more self-sufficient. But she will have my lovely daughter, Lauren, who will be popping in and out to see her. So I made the decision that for the 3rd week, Mum will sort of be trialing how she gets on her own, and on the 4th week I'm going on holiday and Lauren will be, if you like, carer to Mummy. So I'm off on holiday on the 6th of March for 2 weeks to Jamaica. Woohoo! Sunshine and heat. That's exactly what this body needs. So yeah, I'm going on holiday. I'm super excited. I say it's 2 weeks. I think it's like 12 or 13 nights. It's not the full 14 nights, but I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Anything but to be here. It has been cold. It has been grey. And I'm like, I just need sunshine, relaxation, and beaches, and jerk chicken and rice. That's what I need in my life right now. So I'm off on holiday. And as part of that, I'm undecided now because I keep saying, you know, I need to be good. I need to get my whips finished and I need not to have too many new starts. And I'm thinking to myself, well, because I'm going on holiday, should I have a new start? Like a small, not as small as an ornament, but not as big as, you know, a long dog, say. But I was thinking, you know, there's lots of projects that I've got that are waiting in the wings that are like, I don't know what you call it. What they are, small still. They're still small projects. They're just not ornament sized. And I'm like, should I start one of those and go on holiday with a whole new start? So, I mean, I've got like a 9-hour flight to Jamaica, and I think it's about 8.5 hours back. And inevitably, I'm not really going out every night that we're on holiday. So Darren will go off out to the bar and chat with people, and sometimes I like to just sort of sit on my balcony and sit and do a bit of stitching or listen to an audio book. So there'll be a few evenings whilst we're away that I'll want to stay in and have a me night. So I'm like, well, I need to take some stitching with me. So help me decide, should I be good and just go with an existing whip? And if so, which one of my whips should I go with? Or should I have a new start? Should I treat myself? And when I say a new start, it won't be a big project. I don't really want to take my stitching gnomes with me. I don't want to sit there doing French knots on holiday. I need it in a stand for that. So that was the only other project that I was thinking that I could take that maybe would work. The next option that I've got, she says, that I was thinking about is I've got a load of those little tiny towns that I wanted to stitch, and I still haven't touched any of them. So I've got the tiny towns that I could start. I have got, you know, I did the, is it Country Cottage Needleworks, the ABC thing? I've got the whole series of those. Or should I just pick something else? I don't really want to pick anything else Christmassy. I'm trying not to do that because I've got quite a lot of Christmassy things. I mean, I have got, what is it called? You know, I did my welcome. I did that welcome for Christmas. I've got the spring, summer and autumn ones still to do. So I could do one of those. Or I could do something that was even smaller. Something like yay big. I don't know. Like, I'm waffling now, people. I don't know. I don't know what to do now. Tell me what you think. If you was me, would you give yourself a new start of a small to very medium? And when I say small medium, it's a small medium start on something new to go on holiday with. Or would you take something that is really sort of something you desperately need to stitch on? Because you know, when it's just like, I'm trying to look at what whips I've got. So what is in the rotation? So on the whips rotation, we've got alternative reality, full coverage, can't do that. Afghan family farm, far too big, no way am I taking that on holiday. Deer Creek stocking, a full coverage, that's not happening. Halloween Quaker, I did think about it, but it's 40 count. And I'm like, 40 count's going to require goggles. I'm not going to sit there with my magnifying glasses on just so that I can stitch on that on the plane or on my balcony in the evenings. So that won't work. Life is an open book, full coverage, no good. Maiden of Tabataha, so that could be an option. Now that I'm thinking about it. That could work, she says. It's not Christmassy. Okay, that's a possible whip that we could take. Stitching gnomes, like I say, no French knots whilst I'm trying to travel. Welcome to the North Pole. It would be a good option. Do I want to be stitching on the plane? Welcome Christmas when I'm on my way to Jamaica and the sunshine and it's not Christmas anymore? Not really. Winter White Santa, again, is Christmassy. I don't really want to work on that. And that is all my whips for my rotation this year. So I'm like, other than Tabataha, I don't think there's anything suitable, she says, on the agenda for what I could actually stitch on that is a whip. So, based on that, that means that I can only either stitch on Tabataha, which is an existing whip, another little ornament, which I'm like, I've got a sneaky suspicion by the time I've finished Merry and I finish my Bye Bye Birdie, I'm going to be like, I'm ornamented out now. Or we've got a small new start, which would be like small medium. Tell me what you think. What would you do if you was me? Because yeah, I'm undecided now, but I'm going to go with the majority. So I mean, I would put like a poll up, but I can't put a poll on a video, so you're just going to have to comment in the comments below. But I need to know, let's say before the 1st of March, because I'll only have from the 1st of March to the 6th of March to get it sort of put together and kitted to be able to do it. So yeah, I don't know, guys. I can't remember anything, so let alone make a decision. That would be far too easy, wouldn't it? So that is it for this video. Like I say, there's a lot of video of me talking, but I did actually get a fair amount of stitching done this time round, but it was almost like a 2-month update. Like I say, I'm gonna put the video for the retreat in at the end of this video with a little bit of music overlay, just so you can see all of the lovely goodness that happened whilst we was at the retreat. Thank you for hanging out with me, and for those that comment in the video with suggestions of should I have a new start or should I take a whip on holiday, I'm going to thank you in advance, and we'll find out at the end of March, after my holiday, what the decider was. So thank you so much for hanging out. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of February, and I will see you at the end of March. Happy stitching, guys, and until next time, bye bye for now.